What if I told you Kyle Busch and Clint Bowyer raced a multi-time champion and a multi-time Speed Weeks winner and various other competitors in a show of immense talent on the high banks of Daytona? The first time people got a glimpse of Kyle Busch and Clint Bowyer's talent. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ARCA.
No other sport starts with the biggest event of the year, but stock car racing is not like any other sport. Today, the ARCA Series starts the 2004 season on the high banks of the most hallowed place in motorsports, Daytona. For those wanting to climb the ladder, this is where they make their mark. Just ask last year's winner, Chase Montgomery, who now has a full-time Craftsman Truck Series ride. Famous names like Ryan Newman, Kyle Petty, Benny Parsons, Mike Wallace, and Joe Ruttman, all past winners here. For others, a win here could be the crowning achievement in their racing careers, a lasting testament to achieving the ultimate goal, a trip to victory lane here at Daytona. 41 drivers are strapped in, ready to make their dream come true in the Super Bowl for this series. It's the ARCA Remax Series season opener from Daytona, next on Speed.
It is the 2004 ARCA 200 at Daytona. On the pole is Bobby Gerhart, who is an expert at plate racing, but would have to do something only two men have ever done and win from the pole if he wants to go to victory lane. Frank Kimmel's also hunting for his first Daytona win in his illustrious ARCA career, but both have to go through Hendrick hotshot Kyle Busch. He's leading a charge of young drivers from second. Behind him is 23-year-old Paul Menard, defending ARCA Superspeedway winner. 24-year-old Clint Bowyer is also there, and 22-year-old Ryan Hemphill. Of the young hotshots, 40th on the field is David Reagan, who bought his way into the field after some wild Speed Weeks combobulation. And in the D&Qs, some unique drama occurred that can only be explained by this clip.
Well, thank you, Bob. Deborah Renshaw walked into the garage on Tuesday with a big smile, a boyfriend, and a 13-race deal. But yesterday, she walked out with possibly none of those. Her frown came because she had a slower than expected car. Her deal went away because she complained a little too much about that car. And her boyfriend, Chad Blount, was picked up as the replacement driver. So the big question is, can two competitive race car drivers separate romance from work? Lindsay?
And with that, on a sunny afternoon in Daytona, Bob Dillner calls us to green.
Here we go. The pace car has pulled off. Bobby Gerhart leading them to the green flag. Everybody hold on to your lug nuts. It's time to go ARCA racing.
Lug nuts? What the? The field is already spread apart early. Gerhart establishes the lead as Frank slots the second, side by side with Kyle now. Eventually the field gets lined up in double file behind the leaders. The field begins to pack up and run like a normal plate race, and Kyle Busch is carved to the lead, following Bobby Gerhart back. Kyle moves the front seven away from the pack now as the race goes on. They catch back up though and all single file into a 15-car chain, with Bobby Gerhart the only one trying to make moves. Soon, AJ Hendrickson pulls on the pit road, and on the onboard camera is evidently furious. His Ernie Elliott car is blown up, and he is done for the day. After Kim Crosby crashes, pit stops occur with many taking two tires. Greg Sacks stays out and is now the leader under caution, and Kyle Busch gets a penalty for one lap. It's for having a man over the wall with no fire suit or helmet on, apparently. And Greg Sacks in his State of Florida Seafood Dodge is reportedly going to one-stop it. The race restarts on lap 23, with Sacks and Shane Hamill running away. The leaders soon go side by side with lap car Kyle Busch in the middle, and soon Brent Sherman jumps up to them. All four, they go four wide with traffic, and somehow in the name of ARCA they don't wreck. Off of turn 4, Ed Kennedy spins and gets it back going, but caution still comes out. Kyle Busch will get his lap back now, and pit stops will ensue again. After that is revealed that the caution wasn't for Ed Kennedy actually, but for debris off of turn 3.
Debris in turn 3, that's what we are being told is the cause for the caution right now. Greg Sacks there, he was your leader, but everybody has come down pit road and made some stops, including Greg Sacks, who did not stop on the first round of pit stops. Don?
Frank Kimmel changed right side tires only, no adjustments on the 46 car. On the 87, it was right side tires as well.
As the broadcast begins to go into complete disarray, Jeff Kendall now leads. Under caution, a message on the roll bar is seen saying thanks to the crew and Big Daddy? Whoever the hell that is. After what feels like 30 minutes, the race restarts on lap 36.
Came up a little sharp.
A rookie of the year here in the ARCA Remax Series, going green once again. How long is Jeff Kendall going to stay out there?
We'll just have to see. You know, I don't. Got Andy Hillenberg right behind him. Don't know how good Andy's car is today, but like I say, everybody's going to want to stay in line just for a little bit at the start here.
Smoke appears down the front stretch, but the broadcast doesn't care for whatever reason, and we keep racing. Frank Kimmel on the first lap after the restart darts 3 wide for the lead. Now Brad Smith has some issues. Clint Bowyer now fires back through the pack, and Bob Dillner says this coming to lap 39.
You know, National Speed Sport News, I've read that for a long time. Read a lot about Clint Bowyer, but it wasn't until I went to Lakeside last year and I met up with a guy whose nickname is Dirty Dan, and he told me all about Clint Bowyer. He said he was the baddest race car driver in the land.
At halfway, Frank Kimmel, Eric McClure, and Clint Bowyer lead the field. Kyle Busch is now back up to the top 5 already, behind Billy Venturini. And they start talking about nicknames on the broadcast. And Bob Dillner says this on lap 46.
He calls that car, you know, Ray Dunlap was talking about nicknames on cars. Well, that one is called Sweet Pea. And I said, Bobby, why Sweet Pea? He goes, if you look at the speed charts, it's always sweet. You know, he's got a road course car. You know how people nickname cars?
Yeah.
It's called Elton John. You know why?
No.
It goes both ways.
Oh, that's okay.
After Ken Schrader gets creeped out in the booth, Kyle tries making a move on Bowyer and takes advantage, getting the second. Suddenly, a horrible crash.
Right now. Just for a little bit.
Oh, trouble, big time trouble coming off at turn 4. Cars everywhere. That's the #1 Verizon car for Andy Belmont, a longtime competitor here on the ARCA Remax Series. And that car is destroyed.
Everyone gets out and Chuck Hires and his stock image fire suit goes to the safety crew to the infield care center.
And make a wedge adjustment, but they don't believe they hurt the car very bad. TJ Bell ran the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series last year. You may recall he's also a veteran of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the 24 Hours of Daytona, the 12 Hours of Sebring, and I guess today the 2 hours of ARCA Remax. But anyway, TJ Bell's going to try to run the whole season with this Brad Kent Motorsports crew. 4 tires and air pressure adjustments, and they're trying to get him out of here. That's TJ Bell.
Sometimes that 2 hours of the ARCA Remax Series at Daytona is even more grueling than the 24 hours of Daytona.
After Bob Dillner claims the ARCA race is as grueling as the Rolex 24, we go green again. Kimmel is gone with 21 to go, but a run may be coming from Clint Bowyer. They try to wreck off a turn 4, and Kyle Busch jumps to the lead with 20 to go. Shane Hamill fires it up 3 wide, and Bowyer and Hamill race hard. They are dooring over and over, and then Gerhardt gets a huge run. It's chaos in the field now. Bowyer and Hamill are refusing to stop the fight, and eventually Hamill gets ahead. Now Gerhardt is going for it as they race on. Under 15 to go now, and the race is officially running late. It's beginning to affect the start of the Bud shootout that will happen shortly after. And Ken Schrader has to leave the booth to go to driver meetings, leaving Bob Dillner to have to call the race solo. They do eventually get Ray Dunlap to call the race from the pit lane, as Bobby Gerhardt fouls his own car of Clint Bowyer back through the field to try and move towards the front. Down the backstretch a few laps later though, this happens.
Third, he's in second right now, and he really... Whoa! Sachs is in the wall! Gets hit from behind. Sachs spinning down the backstretch. Eric McClure just scoots by. Wayne Anderson also involved, the 2-time NASCAR Southeast Series champion. The race to the line. Kyle Busch has got it. Frank Kimmel in second.
This crash will help us set up a shootout to the finish. And God help us with 5 laps to go. Laps trickle away as they file under 3 to go and still single file. Coming to 2 to go and Gerhardt files up to the front pack. It's going to have to be a white flag pass if they're going to beat Kyle Busch.
Is out. 1 lap to go, the final lap, all bets are off. Who's gonna do it? Still single file, 6 cars at the front of the field. Busch has got to be looking in his rearview mirror, watching every move that Frank Kimmel makes. Here comes Venturini on the outside, no. Gerhardt looking, Venturini snakes, he goes outside, Shane Meal goes with him. He's going to pull up into second spot side by side with the 5-time ARCA Remax Series champion. But he's got no help. Nobody goes out there. Billy Venturini with no friends at all here at Daytona. and that allows Kyle Busch to come down to the start-finish line. Kyle Busch kicks him here at Daytona and wins the race. What trouble? Shane Neal and Hemphill get together. Gerhard involved. You knew it was going to happen. Gerhard, Blunt involved as well. Shane Neal there sliding on the infield. What a finish here at Daytona for the ARCA Remax Series. Wow.
Kyle Busch wins after whatever the hell that was coming to the start-finish line between those drivers, and thus headlines the race. The 2004 ARCA 200, one of Kyle Busch's first big career victories, the start of a Hall of Fame career. By the way, the broadcast gave pit stop of the race to the stop where Kyle Busch got black flagged and lost a lap.